Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, the season is winding down. We are in the middle of a very close race for that final wildcard spot in the East. A little bit less so in the West, but there's definitely some teams still holding on hope that Minnesota keeps falling off. And there's a whole bunch of trophies that are also very close races. This is one of the most exciting finishes to the year that I feel like we've had in a little bit. But we've got a couple of different things to talk about. So I'm gonna throw it to you. We got a decent little list of things. Do you have any of these that you want to get to right away?
I mean, like you said, a lot of what's going on is just races in the standings for awards. Not a lot of big news exactly outside of that. But I think the biggest one we might as well start with. It's the one that we know that there's no suspension for it, but there was a fine, and that is Niko Mikkola receiving I think it was $5,000.
It was either 5,000 or 5,500 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless, receiving a fine for a slap shot that he took at the very end of the Florida Montreal game. Almost hitting a few players.
Have we talked about this? I know we haven't on the podcast, but I know me and you hung out this past weekend.
We briefly kind of talked about it when it happened.
I think it kind of happened while we were together on the weekend. But I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on this because I don't know if you can tell by the verbiage I used in the Discord putting it in there, but I've got some opinions on it.
I'm not a fan of it. I don't think a lot of people were. I will say this. Because it was a 2-goal game and there was 2 seconds left. If it was a 1-goal game, I don't hate it. You play to the whistle, you try and fire one down, you hope it goes in.
Sure. It's not like we haven't seen guys score from the neutral zone or further before, catch a goalie sleeping, bounce.
Yeah, but you're down by 2 with 2 seconds left. There's no point in doing that. No one does it at that point. I'm all for playing till the whistle, playing till the end of the game. But again, you're down by 2 with 2 seconds left. There's absolutely no need for it whatsoever. And we know that, this is being recorded early Tuesday morning. Florida Montreal play later on today. So, by the time you listen to this, game's just rolling up, or you might be listening to this just after the game or whatever. I'm curious to see what the response is from Montreal towards Mikkola tonight in that game.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. And I was going to say something, but I'm just bringing up the clip. I want to rewatch it to make sure that I am not spreading misinformation. And there it is. Okay. Just making sure that I had it right. So one of the other issues I have with this, besides it being incredibly reckless, so for those who haven't seen this, it is I want to say 5-3 was the final. Montreal over Florida. It was a 2-goal differential in the favor of the Canadiens. The game is over. So maybe 7 seconds left when Mikkola gets the puck. And that's a little bit also where I have the issue. So he has it with a little bit of time left. He doesn't make a pass to his partner. He sits behind his net for about 3-4 seconds with the puck. He does the thing hockey players sometimes do. He recognizes the game is over. He doesn't go to score a goal or anything like that. He sits there and waits. And then once the clock hits 3 or 4 seconds left, then he comes out from behind his net, winds up, holds it as if he's holding back on the thumbstick like it's NHL 25, holds it there for about 2 more seconds, and then with maybe 1.5, just lets it rip. And it goes flying past a couple of Canadiens players. And I'm surprised so many people are talking about it going towards Arbor Xhekaj, maybe just because he's a fun name in the news. And it was rather close to him. But Mikkola shoots it. He comes out from behind his net. He's around the face-off dot in his zone when he does it. Xhekaj is around his blue line. So quite a ways down. But he does have to duck. It gets pretty close to his head. David Savard was much closer. And Savard, at least Xhekaj was looking. Savard was not looking. He was looking away at the ref, something else. Like, if it hit him while he wasn't aware, this could have been brutal. And I'm seeing people say, like, you can't suspend this. And there's people saying, like, I'm surprised they even fined him, which honestly, I'm a little surprised they did, but I'm very happy they did. I almost wish there was a suspension tied to this. And
I'll be very quick with it. I think you definitely could have given the suspension. I think the reason they didn't is they're just going to let Montreal take it into their hands tonight. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. It's like their very next game is against Montreal, so it's like you did something stupid like this. Your punishment is now you don't get to sit in the press box and avoid it. Now you have to go play them. You got to go play against them. And
I see that argument.
Stand up for sure. What you did.
And that is very possible what they're thinking is, because we know that's exactly how hockey players and this just kind of business think. But man, like, I just feel like there has to be a precedent set. I get it. Because the argument people make against this, because nobody's making the argument you should be able to take slap shots at heads. Like, I don't think anybody in good faith is genuinely saying that. The argument people are making is there's time left on the clock in an NHL game, and he took a shot. I understand that argument. That said, could you imagine if at the end of it wouldn't even have to be a game. Every single period, whoever has the puck just takes a slap shot at the most skilled player's head on the other team, and like, oh, he took a shot, so it's not a penalty. Like, I don't think it's going that way, and thank God, because that's a horrifying thought that guys just like have to be watching for the final 30 seconds lest they get absolutely domed by some psycho. But that is one of those things that you kind of have to think about. And, you know, people saying it's not suspendable or something. Come on, it's the NHL. You can make anything you want suspendable if you put the right label on it. Like any weird tussle, you can say roughing major, roughing misconduct, whatever. You can absolutely label this intent to injure.
I think he probably would have been suspended if it hit someone, but I think it's the fact
I agree.
It was a big thing. But again, it's the fact that it's against Montreal, and you know, Mikkola's a big guy, so he can hold his own. But Montreal's got our Jack guy, and love the guy, but he's a loose cannon. If he wants to fight you, it doesn't matter if you don't want to. He's one of the few players in the league that will be like, no, we're fighting, and he'll ragdoll you and start throwing punches when you're not even looking. You know, he's a guy that it just gets, and again, not like he's kind of a goon, but like that's not his whole shtick. Like, it's still, you know, being a defensive defenseman, but
he doesn't solely have a job because of it.
Jack guy will come up from behind him and get one or two sucker punches in before Mikkola knows, and like that's the reality of it. So, you know, he one way or another, Mikkola's gonna have to fight tonight. That there's no, you know, way around it. Whether you're on the camp of, oh, he should or shouldn't, he's gonna have to. Like, and he's gonna have to answer for what he did, and that's and he knows that. The whole team knows that. Like, that's,
and the whole team should know that. And you know what? If I'm Barkov, if I'm Brad Marchand, if I'm one of the bigger names in that locker room, I'm telling Mikkola, you go out there. First of all, don't be afraid. You're like, what is he, like 6'6"? Mikkola's huge. But also,
big boy.
You go out there. I'm sorry. Tuck your pride away. We all know what's about to happen. Don't go out there and win this fight emphatically. Even if you think you can beat Jack Guy. I don't know if he can. He's got the size advantage, but Jack Guy's a crazy fighter. Don't go out there and beat the crap out of him. Because if that's the case, we all have to have our heads up for the rest of the game, even though a fight's happened now. Like, if Jack Guy goes out there and gets beat up by Mikkola, he's going, okay, when line match me with Barkov, and I'm gonna pound him. So if I'm Florida, I'm thinking, like, you know what?
Maybe
answer the bell and just
say,
let's not let's not risk anything going into the playoffs. It's game against Montreal. We're already in the playoffs. Let's try and get 2 points. Let's not, there's times where you need to get into that playoff mindset and times where you just got to avoid it.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, right? If you're Montreal, like, even if Jack, I lose the fight or whatever, are players really going to go out there and, throw dirty hits and risk them getting suspended when Montreal's trying to make the playoffs? Like, imagine if...
I don't think most of their team will. I think a Michael Pezzetta, I think an Arbor Jack guy, I think a couple of those guys definitely might.
Maybe, but then at the same time,
it's one of those heart over your head situations.
Then Florida's got those guys that can dish it right back to your guys. And again, Montreal's a team that's got everything to kind of, well, I guess technically both, because like Florida can't really afford to lose their guys when they're going on a cup run. But I mean, same thing.
Exactly. That's why I think they have more to lose in this situation.
They're trying to make the playoffs. Like, they're still holding on for dear life to that wild card spot, which you mentioned is very.
We're not used to them being in at this point in the year.
Yeah, it's a weird situation. Again, Mikola's gonna have to fight.
Is there a more intense division than the Atlantic in hockey right now? Like, maybe the Central at times, but like, and I'm not even talking about. I'm not even talking about overall skill. I'm just talking about these teams all fucking hate each other, man. Like, Lightning, Panthers, Leafs, Canadiens, and Sabres, and a lot of the teams with the Red Wings as well. They just all fucking hate each other at this point, man. None of these guys like each other. Like,
I would say it's about on par with the Central. I mean, even the Central, like, obviously, Minnesota, Nashville, which we saw numerous times early this year. Winnipeg, Colorado, Winnipeg, Minnesota, now Dallas and Colorado, really, especially because of the whole, Mikko Rantanen thing. That's kind of built
right now. It looks like they might play each other in the playoffs. That'll be an insane matchup.
Yeah, it is a very different vibe from kind of what it's felt like this year when you look at the Metro or the Pacific. I definitely get what you're saying though. Like, it's a lot of teams that, and it's not even like, oh, just playoff teams, just whether you're top of the division, you're the very bottom. There's a lot of, it's a lot of teams that really dislike each other.
Yeah. One thing that we don't have listed on our little list that I just want to quickly bring up because I saw it the other day and I loved it. A lot of people didn't. I loved it. To be honest, I don't even know the teams, but in whatever college program he's in, Zeev Buyum scored I believe it was a game winner. I think it was an OT to eliminate another team from the playoffs.
I think if it's anything, it would be the empty netter. If it's the game I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I think it would be. And after he scores, he goes, he does the, fist bumps to the entire bench of his team, and then he gives a little salute and a wave to the other team. And there were a lot of people online being like, "That's classless. That's bad sportsmanship. Bad karma. That's not a good look for a young guy." And man, what people loved guys like Messier back in the day, and he was braining people nonstop. Like, we can't have fun. Like, I love these guys that have a little bit of that fuck you in them. Just he's just, hey, we just eliminated one of our rivals. Have fun in the off season. Like, he didn't throw a dirty hit. He didn't do any of that. He just is a little toxic, and I kind of love it. Like, that's the sport of hockey. You have to be a little toxic.
Yeah,
like,
I don't
no teams. I don't have to check the stat logs to know that no team in history has ever won a cup without taking a penalty minute in the playoffs. Nobody does this cleanly.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I don't see an issue with that. I thought it was all in good fun. I know for a fact that, obviously, like, Denver's continues to be the team to beat. And if a team beats them, I imagine they'll
probably give it back.
Worse. And Denver's got to sit there and take it. And that's, when you do that stuff, it's awesome. It's great to see that emotion, energy, but if it's ends up happening to you, you got to sit there and take it. If you start complaining about it or being like it was uncalled for,
Yeah,
now you look like now that's when you start to look like a tool and a little bit of an asshole if you can dish it out and can't take it. But that's obviously
exactly.
not the case because Denver probably is winning it all again this year. I think it's pretty clear that's the way it's going to go.
Definitely
I'm
the
definitely
odds-on
on
favorite.
the hope of that they lose just because like to see someone else win, like to see a new team get in there and pull off an upset. It's
Yeah,
it's part of one of the greatest things in sports is to see the big juggernaut get taken down by a heavy underdog. So,
yeah.
yeah, I don't
It
see a problem with it. Like
it really
it's
is
part of the
funny
game.
because for so long I was so intensely of that mindset. Like growing up, it's like, you know, oh man, the Red Wings are doing good again. Piss off. Oh, cool. The Penguins are doing good again. Oh, Chicago's going back to the finals. Like, who cares? Fall off already. And then of course my team does really well several seasons in a row, and I'm like, I don't know, guys. What if it's cool to cheer for greatness?
And
So now,
I
so now I don't know what to believe.
and people were complaining like, oh, that's not fair to the Boston. Boston College has been one of the best teams the last couple years, and they can't get it done. They choke, and they're like, oh, poor players. Ryan Leonard just went and signed with Washington. He's going to go join the best team in the league. Well, I guess second now. They're behind
Did you see
Winnipeg, but
the pictures of him either yesterday or this morning?
yeah, with Ovi.
Yeah, he was already out
Yeah.
having
Well,
breakfast or whatever with
yeah, I
Ovechkin.
was
He's
gonna
sitting right
say
next to him. They're having a great time cutting it up over there.
people were saying they were at a bar. I don't know if that's the case because
I
obviously Ryan
kind of
Leonard
thought
isn't of
that was the
age.
I thought that was what I saw, but I kind of thought because he's 20 years old, turns 21 next January. So
Yeah, but like people were like, oh, poor Boston College players. Ryan Leonard's gonna go play in the Stanley Cup. Gabe Perreault just signed with the Rangers. He's gonna get to go play in MSG and fight for the playoffs. James Higgins is about to be a top 3 pick. Like those guys are fine. Yeah, sure, it sucks that they didn't win it all, but they're going to good teams. Maybe not Higgins. He's going to go to a very
it's
bad team, but in a few
it's
years he'll
weird
be
to
on a good
cheer
team.
for them. It's weird to be like feeling that bad for like first of all, no matter what league you're in for hockey, whatever amount of teams there are, you know, -1 from that number, that's how many teams lose every year. Like that don't win that championship. Only one gets to win it every year. And this is a very like I'm trying to think of a comparable. That's like being, damn, I feel real bad for Eichel and the fellas over in Vegas when they get eliminated in the second round. Like they're doing just fine. Like
Yeah. And the biggest thing
where is this like I feel bad for him every year when Toronto gets knocked out?
yeah, and the biggest thing is Z Boyum, won 2 World Juniors with Leonard and Perot. He just won gold this last World Juniors with James Higgins. Like he knows a lot of these guys. A lot of them are buddies off the ice and text, and like it's people say it's classic, but like it's just in good fun.
Yeah.
No one's
Yeah, I
sitting
don't
there
think
being like, man,
he's
it's
not
bad.
wishing
Like,
ill will on them. And
yeah,
the biggest thing for me is, at least to my knowledge, he's not the kind of player that goes out and throws dirty hits. Like he is not the Tom Wilson of mind games. Like no, he was a little bit of a dick, and that's kind of fun. We like players like that, you know get into a little bit of the rough stuff. We just saw Crosby get into a huge shoving match with a guy right at the end of the game. Like Crosby's what, 38, 39, and he's still out there mixing it up with guys. Like
the one thing I will say is because I do expect whenever the Frozen Four is done, I do expect Zeev to probably sign with Minnesota, and
that could be fun.
if he wants to take that kind of attitude to Minnesota, all good, all for it. But at the same time, then he's got to be ready to back that up because a lot of guys in the
Yeah.
NHL won't take that shit from a 19, 20-year-old doing stuff like that. It's gonna be like, you want to do that? All right, well now you're gonna have to fight. You don't get a say, type of thing. So
Yeah.
but
And you know
he's a
what?
skilled player. He's gonna be great for Minnesota. People are just reading too much into it.
Yeah. And when I was talking to people online about this, one of the highest rated comments responding to me was a Minnesota fan. And he said, "Man, are you right? Because our team needs that so bad." He says the only guy with any type of fuck you energy on our team is Ryan Hartman. And that's not the kind of fuck you energy you want. That's the idiot version of it. Like
Little
you
bit of
want
both. A little bit of both. He
a
does
little bit
do a
of both.
couple dirty things here and then, but he's one of those guys that will just chirp and just yap all night long.
Yeah, he does those right things, but you want to, you know, just because I can't think of a great example on a team that's not mine, a guy like Hagel, who will go in and be a dick every shift and forecheck and do all those things, and he will shit talk you, but he's not going to go out there and do anything suspension worthy. Knock on
Mhm.
wood.
Mhm.
But I keep wanting to say Connor Garland, but I feel like he might have done a couple goofy things at times. I
Nah, he's just a
can't remember.
workhorse. He's just a
He is?
dog.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just a
I was
dog.
pretty sure he hadn't got suspended or anything.
Actually, maybe a little bit. He's kind of got that little fuck you attitude a little bit, actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He the other day was I believe the 4-year anniversary of him having Nathan McKinnon throw his helmet back at him. That
My
was
favorite clip about that
so
was just
funny.
be like, man, the Coyotes were a thing. What a great time that was.
Dude, McKinnon lost his marbles every time he played the Coyotes, and it's so funny. Like
Well, yeah, it was nothing worse than
he
losing
has
to the
no
Coyotes.
business hating that franchise. They are like so nothing. Like, and he was just always so pissed when he faced them. It was great.
Coyotes always won. It's a tough pill
Uh,
to swallow losing to them.
you know what? Fair enough.
But we should move on from that. But the biggest highlight of that
Yeah.
is that the Capitals are getting a great player in Ryan Leonard now for their playoff run, and the Rangers are getting Gabe Perreault, who hopefully can maybe spark a little bit of something for them as they keep trying to catch Montreal for that last wild card spot.
Yeah, and the Avs, who we were just talking about, also signed Taylor McCarr to a 1-year entry-level deal over the weekend. I don't know if they really expect him to play for them really ever. I think more than anything, this is a bit of a goodwill move for Cale Makar. I think just everything you can, every little bit helps. Just make him really enjoy his time
It's
with
tough
the
to
Avs at
say
org.
because people say that, but at the same time, it's like Taylor McCarr, because I guess got to use first name as well in this. Just finished, playing college hockey. Like finished his 4 years. He was a free agent. As a forward, he's got a little bit of size to him. 30 points in 38 games. Plus 24. It's tough to say, right? Like there's going to be dozens of these guys that get these deals. So maybe there was I because we don't know. We'll probably never know. But I'm guessing there's probably a couple teams in on him, but Avalanche were able to get him because, like, why wouldn't you want to go play with your older brother or get the chance to maybe play with your older brother? And seeing the way that Colorado developed some guys, yeah, why wouldn't you go there? And maybe that is his best chance of getting to become a full-time NHL player. And again, you get the chance to do it with your brother, so why not? Right?
Not only do you get to do it with your brother, I mean, like, it might be weird because he's your brother, but I mean, who better to help you get into the game, right? Even though he's a forward, like, hey, bro, can you teach me how to skate on off days? Like, that could be massive for him. And yeah, it's definitely not entirely like a nepotism hire or anything. Like, it's not solely based on his name. He does have some counting stats to back some of it up. But I do think that is kind of, the main reason he got brought in.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't doubt it.
If he was bad, I don't think they would have done it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if he does anything, and if he plays for the the Colorado Eagles anytime soon. I imagine he'll at least have a stint there before he would go straight to the Avs.
One piece of news we don't got here because looks like it came out just recently. And again, with something like this, you can take it whatever way you want because it does come from Spittin' Chicklets, and usually they're pretty right because former NHL guys, they know a lot of the guys, they're good buddies with a lot of players, so more often than not they are right, but there have been times where they've been wildly wrong with stuff they've said. But
or
so take it for
leaking
what it's
stuff
worth.
that they're not supposed to say. A lot of the times it is right, but people hate on it because that was probably told in confidence, or you heard it from a source you shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm. And based on kind of what we know from the situation, I kind of think it's real. So I'll put that out there that I believe in it. So if you want to believe in it, you're not crazy too, or you might be because you're following my footsteps. But apparently, according to Ryan Whitney, Tortorella told Cam York that if he re-signed there, Tortorella said, "If you re-sign here, I will bury you." So, which kind of goes off, what we know of it. Tortorella and Cam York did have a heated exchange that led to not the sole reason, but what played a role in John Tortorella being out in Philly, and Cam York, not being healthy scratch, but sitting on the bench for the entirety of the team's first game with Bradshaw. Brad Shaw as their interim head coach. So
it's so hard to just say Brad Shaw.
I'm just going to call him JBL at this point. Why not?
Jables
behind the bench there. So I think it's probably real. Sounds like something Torts would say.
Honestly, it has the energy of something he would say. I don't think he would say something like that. I think he is 100 times more likely to look a guy in the eye and say, "Fuck you," and say, "I don't like your fucking attitude." I genuinely do think he is a well-spoken enough guy. I don't think he would say, "I'll bury you." That seems like a lot. And before the offseason, not even at the offseason yet, saying, "If you re-sign, I will bury you." That seems insane.
If it was like a couple years ago, yeah. But again, like we talked about, where at least we are talking about, we feel like Torts was like trying to basically get fired, like he was done. I could see him kind of maybe not meaning it, but just doing anything he can to
him saying a vaguely threatening thing in hopes that it gets out to the upper management so that he gets fired, maybe. Like, that's really the only way I could see it. I don't think he meant it. If he did say
that's
it.
the thing. I don't think he meant. I think
because that's a crazy thing to say.
But again, it's like we talked about. It was like last day of school vibes for Torts at that point. It was like just doing anything you want and being like, "What's the repercussion? I get fired." It's literally what I want. And, you're going to give me detention? Cool. I'm at last day of school. Who cares? Type of thing, right?
Tortorella is a guy who gets a lot of attention. So obviously, saying that he says that stuff, there is a lot to gain for Spittin' Chicklets saying that. And the fact that we know damn well there's no shot Tortorella's going on that show. He's not going on Spittin' Chicklets. So you know what?
I think he already has.
He has. Wow. That's surprising
me on it, but I believe so. I'll see if it's possible to find that out, even because they've just been with numerous players and
they've had a lot of guys on there.
So,
but yeah, if he did say that, that's crazy. But at the same time, he's a hockey quote machine. So you know what? I would be immensely shocked if anyone in the league said it. He is one of the guys I would be the lesser surprised if he did.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's been on Spittin' Chicklets before, so probably not.
But maybe in the next few days we'll hear of more stuff he said, or we'll hear if this was true. No idea if York would want to say yes or no he said either of these, or if he's just gonna ignore it and whatever, it's over. Don't have to deal with Torts anymore. I'll just go deal with JBL.
It sounds like is he heard it from someone in Philly, and it sounds like it went back to that altercation that we talked about before in the Philadelphia-Toronto game, which kind of ultimately led to, York only playing, I think it was like 3 minutes or something in that entire game.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that's kind of what the altercation was that we were talking about, where, both sides said some things to each other. Kind of sounds like this was a big part of it. So,
man, how do you
makes sense,
respond to that, dude?
I don't think Torts meant
What do you do? Your coach of multiple years, a guy who has coached for over 2 decades in this league, like, but
at the end of the day,
he didn't say you're having a shit game.
It.
He said, "I'll bury you if you resign." Like,
No.
I wonder if he just after that immediately went straight to the GM or the president or whoever. Because, I mean, fuck, there's a good chance that's what I would do. Like, wait, what? Yeah, things aren't going to get better for you. You either basically go tell on them or you ask for a trade.
Yeah.
You can't just sit in it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's a weird situation. But again, I'm sure there'll be lots of stuff that comes up. But at the end of the day, Philly's on a 3-game win streak. Tortorella's out the door.
Michkov has been unreal since this coaching change.
Yeah. And I hate the narrative of people being like, oh, Torts was holding Michkov back, yada, yada, yada. No. Well, I mean, maybe in the sense of offense.
I think a little bit. I think less than people think. He was on a heater before this.
Yeah, and Tortorella's whole thing is making players, full, well-rounded players, 200-foot guys that do everything, not just, oh, you want to just be out there to score offense but not play defense. That doesn't fly with Torts. It's, if you're playing on my team, no one is bigger than anybody else. We're all going to be almost. It's a very similar coaching style to Barry Trotz. It's defense first, offense later. Whether you're the most skilled player on the team or the least, it's let's clean up our own end. Let's do right by our defensemen and our goalies, and the goals will naturally come because we'll be able to get it out of our zone easily, and we won't be in our zone the whole game. We'll be in the other team's zone, and so. I get it. Yeah, Michkov's numbers were maybe lower than they would have been, especially if JBL was coaching the whole season. But Tortorella's, he wants to make well-rounded players who play all areas of the game, which it works. That's what Barry Trotz did, and that's why he's one of the most successful coaches of the however the longest time.
I guess, but
that's kind of what he does. It's.
See, he does it, but
clean up the defensive zone first, and then naturally with the skill we have, if we spend 65% of the game in the offensive zone, we're gonna have a very good chance of winning because of our skill that we have to do to score.
Yeah, sure. The easiest call out to call me biased here, right? But like, I prefer the way John Cooper does it in the sense that he does it similarly, but then there's also those game breakers, those really elite guys that he doesn't hold to that standard. And that often sounds really bad. You have to hold everyone to the standard, but you can't be out there saying, "Hey, Cooch, we want to see you in the top 10 for Selke." Like, we can't, like, you can't cheat offensively at all. We need you to be all in on defense and then see what you can do. Like, no, that's what 9 of the 12 forwards are for. Like, the majority of them can do that, but like, those guys that have the skill similar to guys like Michkov, like, he's just an offensive dynamo. He's a guy I could legitimately see putting up 100-point seasons in the NHL. And those are the guys that, like, you shove a great two-way center up with them and you let them fly. Well, and you worry about the two-way play of the rest of the lineup.
Kucherov, Braden Point and Jay Gensel, they aren't like elite defense players, but they're solid enough to where when Kucherov's just kind of going around, like, he's again, he's top 5 player in the league, one of the best defense players. He's not good in his own end, but
he is though. That's the thing. That's the weird part that made it a weird comparison, because the past 2 years he's really upped his defensive game, and there are definitely times where
it's noticeable at times, but. Because I've been watching a lot more Tampa games this year than I normally would. There's a lot of times where it's like, fuck, what is he doing? He just starts skating around, and I think the biggest problem for Kucherov is just when he gets frustrated.
Oh, 100%.
Like
Oh yeah, he is right there with guys like Draisaitl like that.
Yeah, he'll get a hit where he doesn't like it, and then he's out there to just go. He'll take himself out of the play if it means he can go and try and hit someone or get a whack. And it's like, but again, you know, with Vasilevsky, with the great defense players they have, like I mentioned with Point again, so you know they're not elite defense players, but they're solid enough to where you can get away with that because more often than not, you're not going to get burned. If you do,
as of late, he also at quite a few times this season has played with Sorelli Hagel. Now you've got even more defensive specialists.
Yeah, you've got guys that are literally like defense first, and then and Hagel's the perfect example of that. You play a good, solid defensive game, the points will roll in because you're spending more time in the offensive zone.
Yeah. That's the perfect kind of guy who would work in a Torts system.
Yeah,
a guy like Hagel.
Moving along with the news, you did mention Leon Draisaitl. He is the first player to hit 50 goals on the season. He actually is up to 51 now. 2 goals in his first game back from injury. Probably going to be the only guy. But probably this year, I don't see anybody else dropping, going goal per game down the stretch at this point. Like Nylander's the next closest at 42, and then Kyle Connor, Tate Thompson, Braden Point, and the rest of the ensemble. Actually, it's just those guys at 38.
Yeah, and William Nylander, a couple games ago, for the first time in his career, put up back-to-back multi-goal games. He had 2 goals in, I believe, in San Jose and LA, or maybe it was against the Ducks in LA, but somehow I'm like 2 goals in a game is pretty good. So to do it back to back is pretty special. But I was surprised that that's the first time he's done it because he's just so good.
That is very surprising, actually. I'm very surprised by that.
Mm-hmm. But I do think you're right. I think there's a lot of people being like, why wouldn't Matthews hit 70 this year, or at least hit 60 again? And we saw multiple guys creeping on 60 before. I think we had 2 guys either 1 or 2 years ago. But now all of a sudden,
57, whatnot.
There's still quite a bit of scoring going around the league, but as far as the Rocket looks, we might be getting borderline dead puck era numbers. Draisaitl might just win it with 52 goals or something like that.
Yeah, which
is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's a really weird season. It really is in terms of the point totals we saw last year. Multiple guys getting to 100 assists, numerous guys over 50 goals. We had a guy at 69. It's a weird year. It's a weird year to say the least.
Yeah. Scoring is down. Goal scoring for individual players is way down. Save percentage is also down. So it is very weird.
And I guess keeping on the topic of goals, Ovi scored another one. He's now 5 away from the all-time goals record. He needs to get 5 goals in 9 games now, is where we're sitting. So,
and
very doable, very possible. It's probably going to come down to the wire the way it's looking, because the goal totals for Ovi have kind of it's almost every second game it seems like he's scoring now.
Yeah, which is the exact pace we've known for a month that he needs to keep for it to be really close at the end. So we'll see what happens
over the last 8 games, every second game.
So
the way it's going, it's going to come down to the second
one of those last games
game of the season or the last, which would be for Washington, either at the Islanders for second last game or last game of the season at Pittsburgh, which again, if I want him to break it at home because I think it'd be cool, but
if he doesn't at home
this season, right
Pittsburgh
before the playoffs in Pittsburgh, wiring one home on the power play, that's literally the next best thing you can possibly get if he's not doing it at home.
It's going to be a power play goal, and the entire time I'm gonna watch when it happens. I'm gonna watch back that power play, and I bet it happens a minute into the power play, and I'm gonna sit there for a full minute going, just play 4-on-3 and have somebody sit on Ovechkin's stick. Don't
Yeah, 'cause
let him
no
even
team,
get
no
close
team
to it.
wants it to happen against them. No goalie wants that to happen because then you're, that's a picture of you allowing a goal is
Yeah.
going to be the biggest thing in the entire world. One thing I will say, actually,
People talk about that, but like nobody remembers those guys. Who did Gretzky score on to break Howe's record? Or who did he score his 894th goal on? Oh, fuck if I know. I'd be shocked if you knew it
I
because
know,
I definitely don't.
I know when he passed Gordie Howe was against San Jose, and that's when he was playing with LA, I believe.
Okay. Do you know the goalie?
Oh fuck! That they went through so many goals at
Yeah.
that time. So
a lot of the bad expansion teams did. But
one
like
thing I will
it was
say,
against your team, and even you don't like remember the goalie. Like it's a thing people have been talking about for a few months, and then the other day I was just kind of like, I feel like nobody actually knows though. Like you could look it up, and the answer will come up right away, I'm sure, but nobody really knows. They don't live in infamy because that goal was on them. At most, they
maybe
become a
some more
trivia.
old timers, more old time hockey fans. They might know that lived in the moment. And
You know what? That's fair.
one thing I will say though, I'm curious to see what you think. I would almost actually rather have him break it game 82 in Pittsburgh as opposed to doing it at home against Columbus. Like again, it'd be
Is it
cool to
against
do at home, but
Columbus?
I would third last game of the season. That's their last home game is against Columbus. The one before that is Carolina. I don't think he goes. Well, I mean, he could go goal per game, but the way it's looking, probably not. I would almost rather see him do it in Pittsburgh with
It's
Crosby
OV, man.
against
I
the
don't put it.
Penguins than at home against Columbus.
Yeah, we are now 5 within 5. I think it's every game now. I think he's on watch every game. Would you be maybe a little surprised? Would you be shocked if he went out tomorrow and dropped 5 goals? Like the whole
No,
team
I
wants him to
honestly wouldn't.
score. We know he can do it. Like we've seen crazier things.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be shocked by it in the slightest.
But you know what? Carolina, not a super sexy matchup with the Capitals. The Blue Jackets, not really. Like I get what you're saying. Pittsburgh, that's been a marquee matchup for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Well, about
And
20 exactly.
with Crosby in the building and last game of regular season, it's like, man, that would be pretty cool. Would be pretty cool.
But at the same time, it would also be against who? Tristan Jarry? Nedeljkovic?
Yeah. Also,
it would be cool to see him do it against a bit of more elite goalie.
On that. But then that'd have to come against the Islanders. The second thing,
well, people love breaking records against the Islanders.
Sports fans, especially when I say sports fans, it means people that like I'm talking about people that are like into like sports, but like the biggest things. And that Sunday, the 13th, their last home game against Columbus, that is the same day that the Masters is ending. That's the final day of the Masters, which is one of the biggest, sporting events across the whole calendar year. It's one of the biggest out there.
Is it?
So it's very big.
Yeah, there's more of a way I want to ask that.
Like I know a lot of people that aren't they're not diehard golf fans. They're casual. They'll like tune every now and then. The Masters weekend, like everybody tunes into that one.
That was gonna be my question. Like people know about it. It's a big thing. Do people actually sit down and watch it? Because golf notoriously is like the sport of fun to play, boring to watch. It's like the least fun sport to watch on TV.
Yeah, that's like,
and I like golf.
That's like the most difficult course, and it's like it's like I know a lot of people that like that's the only golf they'll watch all year. Like they'll follow up with the guys and like see who wins each weekend and whatnot. But like
you watch on the apps.
Yeah, everybody tunes in because that's like
okay.
That's bigger than like the Tour Championship, like their playoffs to end the year. More people care about the Masters, so
yeah.
I imagine viewership for all NHL games that day will be very heavily down.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, it's so weird. I'm very interested to see when he really closes in on it and when it happens. But we're just gonna keep watching. We'll keep finding out.
And yeah, and it's one of those things, especially with Ovi. Like they play they play Boston today. He could go out there and wire home 4 goals against Boston easily tonight.
Yeah.
Like the way Boston's been looking, he could rack up a few tonight. And then it's like, all right, now we're looking at 2 games out from now. What's it look like? And it's like, oh, you can. I mean, Boston, then Carolina, then Chicago. Like, if he drops 2 against Boston tonight, he could wire 3 easily against Chicago. Like,
Yeah.
easily.
And you know what? That one, not as fun of an actual matchup, but at the same time, it could definitely happen against Chicago. They're not a good team. You got the kind of Bedard factor, the Ovi over Bedard thing going on. Yeah. It's weird. It's one of those things where like you want it to be perfect. You want it to be storybook. And it's probably not going to be, because that's just not the way it usually goes.
Yeah.
But
not very often you get that.
Whatever way it happens, it'll be fun. And I'm sure he'll get a freaking standing ovation. People are going to lose their mind no matter where it happens. Like, hopefully it doesn't happen in a goofy ass blowout. Hopefully it's not he scores goal number 8 in an 8-1 routing of the Blue Jackets or something like that.
Yeah.
That might take the wind out of the sails a little bit, but either way, it's going to be massive.
Yeah. Yeah. Regardless of where it happens, it's going to be a big. It's going to be one of the biggest things we've seen in the league in quite a long time. So we'll keep following along with it. You had a little bit of WHL news.
Yeah, I got 2 things here actually. Since we were just talking about Columbus, I figure I'll jump on this one here. Elvis Merzlikins and his wife had their second child over the weekend, a boy who they gave the middle name of John, in memory of Johnny Gaudreau, which is really cool of them to do. And this, of course, for those who know, just adds to their tradition, as their firstborn son was given the middle name Mattis, in memory of Mattis Kivlenieks. So that's super classy and cool that Elvis and his wife have done that. And man, I so badly hope Columbus makes the playoffs, man. If any franchise deserves it.
Yeah, I'm still in the path of like I want Columbus to make it, but I'm also at the same time
it's
I'm like
pretty tough now.
And if they do, I want to make it by a sizable amount, because I still hate that call against the Islanders, and I would still hate for at the end of the day they make it by like 1 point. It's like,
yeah,
I'm like, you shouldn't be in. Get him by 2. Okay, you know what? Fine. Maybe you could have got an extra point here or there, but if you get him by 1 point, I don't love it then. Again, still happy for him, but then I'm like, it doesn't feel as real.
That's fair.
Like that,
that's fair.
And you know, close.
Experience like NHL reffing, man.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Like 5 teams all nipping in there at each other.
Man, there's a generation of kids growing up watching hockey, and every time a goal happens, they probably just sit there staring at their parents, or they're just staring at the TV, and they're just sitting there going, does it count? And then the puck gets dropped for the next faceoff, and then they celebrate because now they know it's a goal.
Yeah, that's really what it's kind of been over the last bit. It's yeah,
man. And like you don't want bad goals to go away. If a guy decks the goalie, you don't want that to count, but like it is a little exhausting. It would be nice to find the perfect medium, which probably doesn't exist, to be honest, but
yeah.
Hopefully they can do the best they can. But congratulations to Elvis and his wife on their second child. And we do have, like Brundy said, some WHL news. This is another goalie. This was a crazy story that I only saw once the game happened. But Harrison Menigan, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, of the WHL for the Medicine Hat Tigers. He was playing in a game against the Calgary Hitmen in, I want to say about a week ago. And this game was basically to decide which of these two teams will clinch top top of the league or their division or whatever in the WHL, who will be the first seed. And I guess he gets nervous when his parents are watching. So he didn't realize, but his parents actually flew out to Calgary to watch this game. They end up winning that game, and he is like they just clinched being number one seed. They're top of the world. The jury is still out on whether or not it happened during the game or directly afterwards. But incredibly tragically, Harrison's dad passed away. Like it sounds like it was either right after the game or in the third period. Just incredibly suddenly. So he goes from riding this incredible high to just absolute, like the lowest of low right after that. And of course, the team flies him home. They're like, they're like, he absolutely does not need to rush back. Like, this is horrendous. You deal with this as much as you need to. He decides he wants to win the playoffs for his dad. And he comes back 5 days later for game 1 of the playoffs. And he goes out there and he posts a shutout in game 1 of the playoffs for the Medicine Hat Tigers over the Swift Current Broncos. And man, great call by the announcers of that game as well. They really let the moment sink in, and you could tell the whole team was for Medicine Hat Tigers was so emotional out there, and they gave it everything they could for their goalie and his dad. So that was obviously a very tragic story, but a really cool moment for that team and for him.
Yeah, I can't add much more to that. I think that was perfectly said. Sticking with the WHL, going a little bit more positive news, which can kind of lead into the next thing that you have here. If you are a fan of WHL games, and you don't normally get the chance to go watch them, or you're not able to watch them, on TV or anything, you have the option to now, and that is a new thing that Victory Plus has come out with for the WHL playoffs. You don't need a subscription. You don't need to sign up or anything. You get free access to all WHL playoff games this year, which I think is absolutely incredible. You can download the app. You can go on the website.
I did not hear.
The thing. I have Sportsnet Plus, and you get one feed. You click on it. You either get the home feed or the away feed. Victory Plus, you can choose whether you want the home feed or the away feed. Game tonight between the Lethbridge Hurricanes and the Brandon Wheat Kings. You're a fan of the Lethbridge Hurricanes, you get the home feed if you want. You can listen to your guys that talk about your team more. If you're a fan of the Brandon Wheat Kings and you're not at the game tonight, you can click the away feed. Well, I guess technically roles reversed. I guess the away feed would be Lethbridge Hurricanes. But point being, you can choose whatever feed you want for your team. You get full access to all playoff games all the way throughout the entirety of the WHL playoffs, which I think is absolutely incredible. I think that's the
awesome
perfect way to grow junior hockey. You're a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, go watch Medicine Hat Tiger games. Go watch Gavin McKenna, who you have a good chance for next year. Go watch the Everett Silvertips and watch Landon DuPont, who you have a good chance for 2 years from now. You can watch some of the best up-and-coming talent. Great playoff games. You get, this is great hockey. That's physical, hard,
all these guys are trying to prove themselves to get into the NHL. A lot of these guys have a lot on the line. So
yeah, it's really incredible. It kind of is a thing of man, look how easily, these guys are able to do all this when all these other bigger companies don't care to, right? So, I mean, Victory stock is going to go through the roof for doing something like this.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that, but I'm going to have to go get that now. That's awesome because I've never really had a good way to watch them. You can find some websites online, but they're usually
some
rather
streams,
weird.
But you got to jump through a bunch of hoops and whatnot to get there. But with this,
you got to close
right
20 different pop-up ads and all that. Keeps trying to bring up other stuff. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
in a almost similar vein, up on the NHL level, the NHL and Rogers have agreed on a 12-year Canadian deal, Canadian TV deal worth $11 billion Canadian, which is uh, that's a lot of money.
It's
you
a
could
lot of
buy like
dough.
you could buy like 4 franchises with that,
It's a lot of
which
dough.
would blatantly be hilarious for them to do. But yeah, personally, I don't really know the implications of this much. Like, it kind of
Yeah,
sounds like
I don't.
it sounds like it's a exclusive deal, which it's a Canadian TV deal. Does that mean Canadian teams are just it, starting next year? Is Rogers going to be the only way to watch games legally in Canada? I'm really not sure. I don't know if this affects streaming services or if this is just kind of like satellite cable TV. But
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
really not too sure on what all this means.
yeah, might have to do a little research and come back next episode and clear that up for people who don't know just as much as we don't know. But you know what? Either way, 11 billion. One thing I do know, that's a lot more than the last few deals got him. So this is good for the NHL to, at the very least, show that they're more profitable, especially in Canada, than a lot of people think.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious to see what it
And hopefully they
what it
put
means
on a good
long term.
product.
And yeah,
But I
with
think
that
that's
though,
pretty much everything I have, unless you
I
got
was gonna
something
say,
else.
yeah, I think that's about it. Kind of looking through, seeing I don't really see too much elsewhere. Yeah, no breaking news. Everything I'm seeing, we are recording this April 1st, so it is April Fool's Day. So basically, every kind of news I'm seeing, I gotta double check to make sure it is accurate.
I already got. I already got this morning. Yep.
It
Open up the
happens.
phone. Yep. They dude these I feel like companies maybe 10 years ago, they used to do very tongue-in-cheek things. They would be like, "Oh, uh we traded Ovechkin for a seventh." Winky face, winky face, winky face. And it's very obvious right away, you know? But like
Yeah,
one one of the video games I play recently just tweeted out this morning like this big DLC we've been marketing for a year has been canceled, and that's it. It was a very unceremonious, unfun tweet, and I did believe it for a little bit until I quickly realized. But like they they don't do the little winky faces. They don't do tongue in cheek anymore. I think they want to trick people for a little bit, which
hmm
I don't know. It's weird, but it's also kind of funny. So I can't
I
blame
mean,
them
yeah,
too
fairly.
much.
Why? Yeah, why not? But I think that does wrap up everything we got for this episode. Not a whole lot of news, really. We're still just kind of focusing on the playoff races. Hopefully, we'll know a bit more of how things are looking later on this week on Friday.
Um,
If you want to join in the do you have
One
something?
thing, I got one final thing. Not much of a conversation. Just a quick. Which way do you feel? Who is going to finish, in your opinion, dead last in the Eastern Conference?
Dead last in the East.
I don't.
Let me just
I don't
pull
know
up
if you
the
have
right
the
side.
standings brought up, but
I got it right.
I'll list you the bottom
Uh,
4 teams.
I got them right here.
Okay.
So Buffalo 16, Boston 15, and then Pittsburgh and Philly both tied in the 13-14 spots. Honestly, probably Boston.
I'm thinking that way too, and
Boston
that's
seems like they've
crazy.
lost 8 in a row. Just
The,
nothing's going right for that team now post trade deadline.
the Sabres are 6-4-0
Pittsburgh,
in their last 10 as well. Like as
yeah,
soon as
Philly's
they're
won 3 in a
almost
row.
eliminated, they turn it on.
I think Boston probably finishes third or dead last in the East. I think even Seattle might jump over them. I think Boston probably finishes last in the East, which would be fourth last in the league. Because I don't see Nashville hopping over them.
No.
Yeah, I'm thinking Boston. And you know what? That's exactly what they need. Just finish dead last, grab a top player, and get a nice kickstart to your little retool that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Which you have to, because if you're doing a full rebuild, I mean, the way Swayman's played this year, that contract's going to be tough to move. And if you're doing a full rebuild, you have to trade Pasternak, which would shatter that fan base. So you kind of have no choice but to try and do a retool here. And to kickstart a retool with a potential top 5 pick, that's the way to do it. It gets you off to a good start. So,
but you know what? I will say they could, if they had to move on from a guy like Pasternak, that could turn around the rebuild a lot faster. Than they were ready to.
Right? Like,
and I doubt any guys they get back are going to be a Pasternak. But
no, it's like if you want to do a retool, you can. But if you decide to go full rebuild, you can kick it off to a really good start with a package you could get back for Pasternak. And if you're thinking, what could that be? It's going to be more than what Carolina got for Rantanen.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a multiple first round picks, a level prospect, and then more on top of that.
Yeah. I'm imagining
more prospects.
I'm imagining some absolutely insane trade that happens like around July 1st, where Pasternak goes to like San Jose, and whoever San Jose takes with their first round pick this year, goes back to Boston, and then like plus another first and another higher end prospect. But San Jose's already got great players, and now they have Pasternak. Like something like that could be nuts. I doubt it'll happen, but
cool to think about that it is still a possibility though with where Boston's at.
I think both teams could come out well for it.
Anything and everything is most definitely on the table for them. But that will wrap it up for this episode. We do want to once again thank everybody for tuning in. If you want to join in on the Hockey Talk, you can do so. All the links to all the socials are down in the description across all episodes, all platforms. Braden, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. The Senators are at 84 points in Wildcard 1. Wildcard 2 is currently the Canadiens with 77. The Sens, I think it's safe to say, are not clinched, but basically officially in the playoffs. Oh, who's going to take that final spot? 77 Canadiens, 77 for the Rangers, 75 for the Blue Jackets. Man, Detroit really fumbled it. They're at 74. They're still technically in it. Islanders have now lost 5 in a row. It was theirs to have as well. Surely one of these teams wants to be in the playoffs, right?
You would think so. It's gonna probably come right down to just like last year, final few games of the regular season.
Yeah, but you know what? Like you said earlier, I'm pulled for Columbus, and I'll pull for Columbus to get in by at least 2 points.
At least 2 points. Then I'd be like, all right, you know what? Fair. I can live with that.
Yeah. Then we don't have to do the what if on a bad goaltender interference call.
Yeah. But that will wrap it up for this episode once again. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. And as always, we will see you guys on Friday out on the ice.